Falcons fans. It is tough right now to be us. Welcome into Falcons Today by Chat Sports. My name is Trace Moustakas, but you can call me Moose, and please do call me Moose. I've got to just be completely honest with you right now. The last, 72 hours have been some of the worst as a Falcons fan that I can remember. I mean, this is just ridiculously porous. So we find out that in the last 24 hours, we go from Michael Penix Jr. not being able to enter the game, okay, maybe he's week to week, to he could potentially be missing the entire season, and now he might miss more than 9 months, according to Ian Rappaport. Now, remember, not everything is meant to be taken exactly at face value. So this could be 9 months. It could be slightly before then, but it also could be 12 months afterwards. So Rap Sheet came in with the tweet earlier today and basically said, Michael Penix, he needs repair on his ACL with 9 months of recovery at least coming. So we don't necessarily know what the timetable to return is. Raheem Morris was asked that exact question, and even he said, I have no idea. He did seek extra consulting, I guess is the best way to kind of phrase it. But he does have an ACL sprain. He has a partial tear, and he definitely needs reconstructive surgery. This is a player that's, look, I feel awful for the kid because he had a lot of hype coming out of the University of Washington. We knew what the injury concerns were, and now they're just confirming to be true that the guy might never, ever be a fully healthy quarterback. I think we can all agree with that. But then Raheem came out right after we got the announcement and said that there is a different quarterback plan that needs to be put into place after the Penix injury. So I don't know about you. I interpret that to mean that the Falcons are either going to sign a quarterback in the offseason or they're going to draft a quarterback in the offseason. Now, you could look at that either way. You could look at it and say, no, that means they're going to go with Kirk Cousins, and maybe you're right. But the way that I read that, the way that I interpret that is that they're saying, hey, from the top down, from Terry Fontenot, Arthur Blank, Rich McKay, all the way down, they're telling you that they were okay with him saying something along these lines. I'll bet you it's a discussion today in the front office. Is there a plan to draft a quarterback? And do we just have a project for a year or a year and a half while Michael Penix gets right and hopefully when he gets back in shows what he's able to kind of do? I feel very out of sorts today because I feel like the season is over. And I don't mean that in like a hyperbolic way. I literally feel like it's January. I literally feel like, hey, we're moving on to 2026 because we know the season is not mathematically over. But you got no Drake London this coming week. You got Kirk Cousins starting for the remainder of 2025. You have lost now, 5 games in a row, back-to-back in overtime. It just feels like rock bottom. And is this what rock bottom feels like? It's got to feel it. It's got to feel like it. It's got to feel like it. So you let me know, yes or no. I'm going to give some shout-outs in our live show today. And do me a favor. We've got 106 people in the building with us right now. If you feel like this is rock bottom, go ahead and hit that thumbs up icon as well. Hit that like button, and I'm going to give some shout-outs. Fred says yes. Ethan says no. I wonder why, Ethan. Tell me why you don't feel like it's rock bottom. Hello. I6 says yes. Samuel says yes. Daxton says yes. SDN says it's been rock bottom. And the reason I say that is because we don't even have the draft really to look forward to. Not at this point. Trade for Mac Jones? No. Searle, if you want to take a look at Sam just messaged us in Slack. If you want to go and take a quick look. Caden, yes. David says for the year, yes. Bright Wolf, I'm right there with you, brother. It's good to see you. The season is wraps. Pains me to watch this team. I get it. Mac Jones is pretty decent. Ark, I don't know about you guys. I know he's excelling in Kyle Shanahan's offense. But we don't have Kyle Shanahan. So I don't trust Kirk. I need somebody that has mobility. I don't need them to be a dual threat. I just need them to be able to move out of the pocket. For the love of God. Kyle Pitts is in here. What's up, Kyle? He's calling him Kyle Trash. That's your quarterback. That's your backup quarterback, bro.
I called him that earlier.
Kyle Trash?
Kyle Trash. He's been Kyle Trash for a long
Well, he's
time.
on the practice squad, so. Stetson Bennett. Jeff Foss says, y'all fans sound ridiculous. No wonder nobody wants to come here. The moment you do something wrong, automatic doghouse. People are afraid to come here because if they have one bad game, they suck. Jeff, I disagree.
Raheem's had like
I disagree.
8 bad games.
And listen, I mean this in no disrespect. We can agree to disagree. But, Jeff, I look at this and I say we would have a lot more optimism as a fan base if the coaching staff wasn't nearly as bad as it was. And there's always going to be the 1 or 2 fans that always are commenting fire X or bench X. Like, I don't think that's everybody. But I do think we've seen enough now from Raheem, Zach, and this coaching staff to where we know watching football games. We're football fans. We know what good coaching looks like, and we know what bad coaching looks like. And Raheem is a bad coach.
I don't remember anybody ever saying Matt Ryan was bad.
I always thought maybe Matt Ryan was limited in terms of his ceiling of what he could have been, but his floor was insanely high. Matt Ryan had one of the highest floors of any quarterback in NFL history. Yeah, exactly. Anthony, I completely agree with you. Anybody that shit on Matt Ryan is a casual fan. Absolutely. Hit that thumbs up icon. We got to get to 40 before we start today. I'm not here to say that. I'm not here to shit on Kirk Cousins or shit on Michael Penix or. I mean, I honestly kind of feel bad for the players, man. Like, the coaching staff needs to completely change. And coming up on today's show, we're not going to even focus on this year. We're going to focus on next year. And that will change later on this week. Tomorrow, I'll get back to some matchups, some previews, because we still have 7 games left. So we're going to break down the rest of the season. But on today's show, because of the breaking news, because of Raheem's comments, I wanted to take the time today to talk about the future. We don't have a lot to look forward to right now in 2025. So on today's show, the Falcons Rebuild plan, I've highlighted a 5-step plan that I believe can fix the Falcons in 2026. And if it doesn't fix the Falcons in 2026, it can at least get us in the step in the right direction. Then I've got some quarterback replacements for Michael Penix Jr. In the event that the Falcons want to draft someone or sign someone. And again, this is all based off of Raheem's comments. Raheem said it, not me. And then we're going to do a little mailbag, so you got to get your hashtag Falcons or Super Chat. And by the way, if you want us to discuss your comment, the best way to do so is to send in a $2 or a $5 Super Chat. We'll put it up on screen. Producer Alper and I will go back and forth and talk about your comments in full detail. So if you send in a 2 or a 5, we'll answer your question right now before we start. We're at 9 minutes. We'll give you guys about 5 or 6 minutes to get those Super Chats in. We'll talk about your question. We'll answer it in detail. We'll give you a shout-outs. And, yeah, look, I wish I could be the beacon of hope right now. And it's tough because there's so much talent on this football team. There's so many great pieces already in store. This pass rush continues to just impress me. It's so good now. What's up? Caden says, what's your prediction for the end of the season? 5-12, 6-11. Texas Recruiter says, was the first-round pick for James Pierce bad in hindsight? No, look, a casual fan might look at that and go, we don't have a first-round pick this coming year, so we're screwed. But nobody could have predicted that Michael Penix Jr. was going to go down this year. Nobody could have predicted that he'd have another season-ending injury. No one could have predicted that Kirk Cousins would look washed when he came into the game. So nobody predicted that the coaching staff would be this bad. So hindsight, of course, is going to be 2020 always. And anybody could look at this situation and go, yeah, Terry Fontenot really fucked us because he went out and got aggressive and, wanted to trade for another edge rusher. I thought it was the right move at the time. Obviously, we're in a bad situation right now, but I can't blame someone for being aggressive. I can blame him for not firing Raheem and Zach because that's in his control. Got to get up to 40 likes before we start today's show.
Come on, we got 130 people in the chat right now. Hit that thumbs up icon.
Factually
Be common
speaking.
Courtesy. If you come into the stream, the first thing that you should do.
Take off your shoes
Take
and
off
hit
your
that
shoes.
hit that thumbs up icon.
Yeah.
Would I say this is Kirk's last year with the Falcons? Yes. Not in general. He'll have another 1 or 2 years. I bet you Kirk retires at 39. I bet you he plays another 1-year deal with another team. He'll sign another 1-year deal in 2027, and then he'll be done. He'll be done after that. I'm not leaving you, Lav. I'm here to stay. Christian says, do you see a world where we don't win another game this season? Yeah, I do.
Oh, boy.
I mean, do I think it'll happen? Like, do I actually think pragmatically it'll happen? No. But could there be a world in which we do not win another football game? Yes. And that would suck because then the Rams, who look like Super Bowl favorites this year, or at least Super Bowl contenders, they have a top 5 pick. As of right now, that pick is number 8, Alper, and they're literally first in the NFC. It's insane.
They knew what they were doing. All righty. We got 54 likes.
54 likes. All right, so here's what we're going to do first. I'm going to break down what I like to call the full Falcons rebuild plan. If you want me to rebuild the Falcons right now, type your mooses in the chat. Spam moose. Type moose in the chat. Type moose in the chat and it lets me know that you guys are on board with seeing a little rebuild plan. Because trust me, I thought long and hard about this. When I got the news this morning that Michael Penix Jr. was going to need full reconstructive surgery, I started concocting. I started brewing. I started thinking in deep thought. And I'm like, here we go. Spam Jones. All right. Spam Jones. Spam Moose. I know it's funny. All right. I got you. Here we go. Here's how you fix the Falcons. Full rebuild plan, 5 steps. I promise you, if the Falcons do these 5 things, they will not be at the bottom of the barrel like they are this year. So the season feels like it's pretty much over. Not mathematically speaking. Obviously, there is still a chance, and on any given Sunday, anything can happen. But I think I speak for all Falcons fans when I say this. It's time to start looking for the future. After the recent news to the Michael Penix Jr. injury, and after knowing that Drake London is going to be out against the Saints, the coaching staff being what it is, the organizational decay from the very top down, I think we all can agree that it's time to start thinking about the future of the franchise beyond 2025. Welcome in, Falcons fans, to Falcons Today by Chat Sports. My name is Moose, and on today's episode, I've got something that I like to call the Moose Plan. I'm going to break down how I would fix the Falcons for 2026. You don't have to listen to it. I'm just some schmuck on YouTube. But I do believe that watching my full 20-something plus years now of watching football, that there is a way the Falcons can get better. It's going to sting, though. You might have to get rid of some players, some that are fan favorites. But if you want to see the full rebuild, if you love the daily content, and you want me to make early off-season content Do me a favor, subscribe for the most up-to-date Falcons coverage. First things first, I want to say I'm sorry. I want to say that this season has definitely been a gut punch. I understand that. But I've enjoyed every second of hanging out with you guys every Sunday, every day. I enjoy even the negative comments down in the comments section. I love this channel. I love you guys, and I love this Falcons team. I really, really want to see where this team can go in the future because there are some really talented pieces. With that being said, all the mushy-gushy is out of the way. Let's get into the Moose plan. First things first, fire the coaching staff. I don't think this needs to be spent a lot of time on this one specific part of the plan, but it is the first thing that I would do. If I took over Terry Fontenot's job today, if I became Moose Fontenot, or Trace Fontenot, if you want to be more technically specific, I would fire the coaching staff immediately. It has been malpractice this season. We have seen the just rot of this football team. The morale is at an all-time low. We cannot string together wins. It's clearly an indictment on the rest of the league. They are laughing at you, Raheem. They laugh at Zach Robinson. It's a gimmicky college-style offense. It does not make any sort of adjustments, and Raheem tells us the same bogus stuff every single week. Got to find a way to win. That's not good enough anymore. So who are some coaches that I would hire? Just 4 straight off the bat. Mike McCarthy, Brian Flores, Clint Kubiak, and a new contender, Vance Joseph, defensive coordinator for the Denver Broncos. Now, currently the coordinator for the Denver Broncos, and he knows what to do with the pass rush. I'm just saying, 112 sacks in the last 2 seasons. Now, there is a history where Vance Joseph has been a head coach. In fact, he was the head coach of the Denver Broncos back in 2017, 2018. He went 11-21 as the Broncos head coach. Now, you might look at that and go, whoa, that's terrible. Yeah, but he also had Drew Lock as his quarterback. So it's not really that great. He had no help at the quarterback position whatsoever. So I think Vance Joseph is one hell of a coordinator, and I think he's going to be getting a lot of head coaching opportunities. And the one thing that he definitely loves is a good pass rush. Well, what's the one area of the Falcons right now that continues to succeed? The pass rush. So, before I continue on with the rest of the plan, let me know who you want as the next Falcons head coach. As of right now, I'd probably take more of a leader of men. I'd probably take a guy like Brian Flores or maybe Mike McCarthy. But I would be okay with Clint Kubiak. I'd be okay with LaFleur if he gets fired, and I'd be okay with Vance Joseph. Either way, let me know in the comment section down below. Second part of the Moose plan, release Kirk Cousins, clear up the cap space. I'm so tired of hearing that the Kirk Cousins is the answer. He's 37 years old, going on 47 years old. He can't move in the pocket. It just doesn't look nearly as good as it should. He's the most expensive backup in the league, and right now, he's not even playing like a top 5 backup. He isn't. There's also that little-known fact that Kirk Cousins, if you designated him for a post-June 1st cut, saves $35 million in 2026 cap space. That's a hell of a lot. Think about how many players you could sign to short-term contracts with an extra $35 million in the bank. Just an idea. Just an idea. Oh, and if you're wondering where the 2026 cap space currently looks at right now, this is with Kirk on the books. They're 24th in the NFL at $4.1 million. This is your estimated cap space. And look at all the other teams that you're currently around. Do you notice anything about those 3 teams? Playoff team. Playoff team. Playoff team. Not a playoff team. So I would make the moves necessary as much as it would pain some people at the quarterback position who love Kirk Cousins. I would get rid of Kirk Cousins immediately. And then also, I know this is going to sting. I told you it would. Darnell Mooney. He's a $12 million cap hit next year. Kyle Hinton, Charlie Warner. All of these can give you extra cap space. I'd be willing to move off of Darnell Mooney if it meant that I could go into the draft and draft another wide receiver. But there's another wide receiver plan that I have coming up later on in the episode. So if you're wondering, Moose, you can't get rid of Darnell Mooney. Who else would we have? Trust me, It's all going to make sense here in just a little bit. The ultimate plan for your cap savings, by the way, needs to be as close to $50 million as possible. You have to. You got to get as close to $50 million as you can. And you definitely could do it. Hell, if you just got rid of Kirk, you're already at 39. So don't worry about the money at this point. Don't worry about what the fan base is going to think. Obviously, we know that something needs to change. So I'm firing the coaching staff, I'm releasing Kirk, and I'm clearing up the rest of the cap space the best that I could. Third thing that I would do, franchise tag Kyle Pitts. I know. Kyle Pitts deserves a contract. Everybody who loves Kyle Pitts says he deserves a contract. I'm not saying that I don't want him on the team next year, but I don't think he's shown me quite nearly enough to earn that big payday. I'll explain coming up in just a little bit. Before I do that, I got to tell you about my friends over at Brunt. I'm going to be getting out into the yard this coming weekend. Got to paint the fence with my dad. He called me up and was like, hey, I need some help. And that's where I'm going to bring my Marin Brunt boots. Excuse me. Good Lord, Trace. But I will tell you this. These boots were comfortable right out of the box. They required almost little to no break-in period as well. So right out of the box, I'm plopping them on, and I'm getting to work. But Brunt isn't just about work boots. They offer a full range of high-performance gear built for tough jobs. From heavy-duty work pants to weather-resistant jackets, Brunt designs durable, reliable workwear to keep you protected and productive in any condition. Choosing work boots used to mean sacrificing comfort or durability. If they felt good, they didn't last. And if they lasted, they completely wrecked your feet. So with temps dropping and the holidays coming up, it's time to treat yourself to, or the hardworking man in your life, to real comfort. Skip the throwaway gifts and get him something built to last. Brunt Workwear. Our listeners get $10 off their entire order with code CHAT at checkout. That's bruntworkwear.com and use code CHAT at checkout. Order today and let them know that Moose from Falcons Today sent you. One more time, $10 off your entire order with code CHAT at checkout at bruntworkwear.com. All of that's going to be in the comments and description of today's video. So let's talk a little bit more about Kyle Pitts for a second. Pitts is kind of an enigma to me. On the one hand, he possesses the traits and the speed and the athleticism that you want out of a tight end. I understood when the Falcons drafted Kyle Pitts that it was going to be a boom or a bust pick based off of the traits alone. And believe it or not, I was kind of wrong about both. He's not boom and he's not bust. He's just kind of somewhere in the middle. And in 2025, that's exactly what he's given you. 47 receptions for 434 yards. He's only found the end zone once, 9.2 yards per reception. I would not go out on a limb and say that these are awful numbers, but I can't say that they're great. What I will say is Pitts has not shown me nearly enough to deserve top dollar at his position, or hell, even top 5 at his position. So I'm sure there's been a lot of Falcons fans, and I've seen a couple of you that have gotten down in the comments section and you've said, what would you do with Kyle Pitts? I'd franchise tag him. I'd franchise tag him today. One more year to see what you got. One more year to show me where it is you feel like that you are going to be fitting on this team. And that's just where I'm at. That's where I'm at. And look, it's not that Kyle Pitts... Scratch that. Let me start over. I don't think Kyle Pitts gets a good enough rap, right? I think that Kyle Pitts has gotten a really bad rap considering where he was drafted. If you would have drafted Kyle Pitts in, say, the second or third round, I think there's an entirely different conversation around him. But if you're looking at the Falcons depth chart right now, you kept 4 tight ends, and your clear and obvious number 1 is Kyle Pitts, and that's a problem. Does that make sense? So Kyle Pitts being what he is not the issue. But the fact that Kyle Pitts is your number 1 and you kept 4 tight ends on the depth chart, Raheem, is the problem. Like, Felipe Franks might be a good special teams player. Like, come on, man. Why did we keep all of these? For blocking purposes, a lot of good that's doing you. You're 3-7. So I'm just in a spot right now where I'm like, I got to see at least one more year out of Kyle Pitts before I can actually pay him or let him go. I think it can't be either. Fourth plan, or fourth step of the plan. Go heavy on George Pickens. I told you releasing Darnell Mooney would come in handy here in just a second. George Pickens is one of those players that a lot of bad rap around him being a locker room cancer. I feel like George Pickens has found a niche in Dallas of what he is and what he is not. And believe it or not, he's actually had less attitude problems. The projected deal, by the way, is huge. It's massive. 4 years, $115 million is what his projected contract extension is going to be. I don't think Jerry Jones wants to pay that. So, if you wanted to, you could go out and spend a ridiculous amount of money. Here's where it makes sense. In 2026, his base salary is only supposed to, or excuse me, this is a direct comparison to T. Higgins' contract. This is what he's going to most likely garner, what T. Higgins gets. So T. Higgins in 2026 is making almost $11 million in base salary. You could restructure his contract, George Pickens that is, and push all of that money down the road if you didn't want to pay him right out of the gate. But could you imagine George Pickens and Drake London on the same team? Take a look at the numbers. 94 targets for Drake London to 83 for George Pickens. Almost the exact same receptions. Pickens has got more yards and more touchdowns and a higher average. And Drake London is your number one. This would go bananas if he was on this team. Now, would George Pickens want to come to Atlanta? That's a different question. But that's why I said you got to go heavy on him. I'd offer him the moon and say, if you want to come here, be part of something great as we're building it, then you come to Atlanta and I make sure that you're taken care of. So let me ask you, Falcons fans, would you sign George Pickens? Yes or no? Type Y for yes or N for no. And if you're watching during our live show, let me know in the live chat down below. Final step of the plan. Draft Jaden Mayava. Moose, we have a quarterback. His name is Michael Penix Jr. Yeah, I get it. I understand. But we're also talking about a quarterback here that has had his 5th season-ending injury in 8 seasons. I can guarantee you Terry Fontenot is having discussions right now with Arthur Blank, Rich McKay, and this entire Falcons front office. There is a question mark around Michael Penix Jr. That does not mean that he's not going to be the starter in 2026. That doesn't mean that he's not going to play at all in a Falcons uniform ever again. But what it does mean is that if you want to get proactive about your future, you might have to draft a quarterback this year. And Jaden Mayava, in my opinion, for not having a first-round pick, is probably the best you're going to get in the later rounds. Almost 67% completion percentage, 2,800 yards, 18 touchdowns, 6 picks. This is a player that absolutely excels inside the pocket when it's clean. He's got lightning fast release with quick game execution. Lincoln Riley boasts non-stop about this kid. And he's 6'4", 230 pounds. He's a big boy. He's thick, he's trunky, he's coastal, as my guy Colin Cowherd would say. I think Jaden Mayava is going to be a really, really good player. Now, the one part of his game he needs to work on is that sloppy footwork when the pocket collapses. So when he's blitzed and he feels the pressure, he can kind of get out of rhythm and he can kind of lose a little bit of those mechanics. But at the same time, I'm like, if that's the worst thing about your game right now, you're a pretty good prospect. You're a pretty good prospect. And Alper, you could just leave that up there. I'll read it. Yeah, I'll read it. I think Penix is going to play in 2026. I do. But you need to have a backup plan. You must invest in another quarterback. At least somewhat. Even if it's a veteran that will come in as a backup. Because I can promise you this, it's not going to be Kirk next year. Do you think the Falcons want to pay Kirk Cousins all of that money to be the starting quarterback? No. There's a reason they didn't have him as the starter this year, guys. So anybody that thinks it's going to be Kirk, you're fooling yourselves. Kirk was benched this year for Penix. That clearly showed you something. They don't believe in Kirk anymore. So they're going to be moving on from him. So then what does that leave you? If Penix doesn't come back until October because of that ACL, you're riding with right now Easton Stick. So you tell me what the plan is. I would go out and get a quarterback immediately, and I would draft somebody that I can draft and develop, because then I have Penix, then I have the kid. So that's my 5-step plan. That's how I make the Falcons better in 2026. Fire the coaching staff, release Kirk and clear up more cap space, franchise tag Kyle Pitts, go heavy on George Pickens, and draft Jaden Mayava. I realize that's all offense. But defensively speaking, I think there are tweaks and adjustments that you can make. For the most part, this defense is fine. You need a nose tackle. You need another outside corner. But for the most part, I've loved what I've seen from this defense. That's going to do it for us on today's episode. That's my rebuild plan. What do you think? Yes, no, maybe so. I don't know. All you got to do is subscribe, hit that like button, rise up, and be cool. Cool. JJ McCarthy's in the chat. Mike's in, and he dropped me down in our host rankings.
Same. Drop down to 15. Maybe he'll join Patriots Live in 30 minutes.
It's good to see you, Mike. Thanks for joining us today.
Yoda says, fire Terry. We do need your questions, so use hashtag Falcons down in the mailbag.
The last one is Risky Moose because of his school. Their QB track record ain't good. I understand where you're coming from, but I also disagree a little bit because Caleb Williams is succeeding with a really good head coach. Now, he might not be perfect, but they're 7-3. And everybody last year, after the Bears' 5-12 season, they were like, oh, God, the Bears made a mistake. They should have drafted Jaden Daniels. They should have drafted Drake. The schedule may. And I look at it now and I go, well, maybe that gap is a lot closer. So on the one hand, I could say the same thing about Penix, though. Is it tough to really evaluate what Michael Penix is because of Zach Robinson? Yes, of course it is. Of course it is. So either way, if you don't draft a quarterback, if you're going to ride with Penix, if you truly believe he's your guy, you have to get rid of the coaching staff to at least see what he's got. You have to. Ramon, yes, that was one game. That was one game. Did I watch the game against the Vikings? Yes, I did. Did I watch the game against the Bills? Yes, I did. How about against the Washington Commanders? Same thing. This defense is not the problem. They had one bad passing performance against Bryce Young. Mr. King!
Mr. King!
He's our Buccaneers fan.
Oh, I remember. Back-to-back L's for Mr. King. Both by the AFC East.
Yeah. Mike says, ooh, I'm a Bears fan and take it from the guy who's wished for a good quarterback for years. They need to follow Moose's advice. Look, you cannot bail on a quarterback as quickly as people do without giving him the opportunity to have good coaching. I firmly believe that. So then you probably are thinking, then why are you asking to draft a quarterback? Well, here's the biggest difference between Caleb Williams and Michael Penix Jr. Caleb Williams has had no injury history. None. So, I mean, look at Jaden Daniels right now. Don't you think the Commanders are slightly concerned that Jaden Daniels is now injured for the 4th time in a year and a half? Look at Drake May. He's absolutely massive. Big, thick dude with tons of mobility, throws his weight around. There's something said about these quarterbacks that have these bigger frames. What do you mean? So I don't understand what you're asking me, though. Oh, remove? Why do you want me to do that if they're already in there?
They're not in there.
I think that's all I've got. Oh, okay, got you. Yeah, I got you. Same thing with J.J. McCarthy. Yes.
Question.
It absolutely is. You cannot draft these guys with injury history and that are slight of frame. And Penix is, I wouldn't say he's slight of frame, but he's definitely lean.
TJ Lee.
Hold it down.
Use hashtag Falcons for that question. All your questions with hashtag Falcons. Hashtag Falcons. Nick Loggins, we see your question, but we need more questions than just from you, my guy.
What the hell is going on with this thing?
Beautiful, TJ Lee.
All right, I just moved it over again.
Yep, they're in here now. Oh, you had a picture of Diego Pavia. All right.
Yeah, one of the scary things here, guys, is the fact that we don't know what is going to happen to Penix. We don't know when he's going to come back. They say at least 9 months, which means the earliest that he's coming back is August. And we already know what if Raheem is the coach, which I'm telling you he's not, but if Raheem is the coach, he already doesn't play his starters in the preseason. So that means Penix is going to go, 10 months without playing any football? He's going to miss all of training camp. He's done. He's not going to be on the field for training camp whatsoever. So then you're going to have to take at least another 5 to 6 weeks to get back into playing shape. Then what? This is the problem.
Oh, no name.
All right. So, because we're talking about Michael Penix Jr., because we're talking about the injury, and because we're talking about quarterbacks, I'm going to give you 4 coming up here in our next episode, all about quarterback replacements. 2 free agents, 2 draft picks. Let's talk. I don't know. Try it again. Try it again. All right, let's talk. Today's show is all about quarterback replacements for Michael Penix Jr. In the event, and there is definitely a caveat here, Falcons fans, in the event that he is not ready to play by the time the season starts next year. We heard from Ian Rappaport, we heard from Adam Schefter, that it is expected that Michael Penix Jr. is going to miss at least 9 months rehabbing this ACL injury. That could mean 10 to 11. Well, 9 months puts you at August. The season starts in September. Even if Penix is ready to go by week 1, it's going to take a long time for him to gear and get himself back into playing shape. So in the event that the Atlanta Falcons want a backup plan, which Raheem Morris said in his most recent press conference, here are some options that maybe you could explore. And by the way, Raheem, you're not going to be here to see this rebuild, by the way. He's not going to be here. Morris is gone. He's done. But here's what I think. Penix is your main option. I don't think the front office wants to give up on Michael Penix. I really don't. But I'm willing to bet any sort of money, my savings account, that if you went into a private quarters right now at the Falcons headquarters, there would be an actual conversation about drafting a quarterback in the upcoming season. It's what I would do. I'd at least have the conversation about it. Penix has now missed 5. He's had 5 season-ending injuries in the last 8 years. I get it. It's football. It happens. But the dude has had, 3, 4 separate ACL injuries? How long is he going to be able to walk, let alone play football? So we're going to break down some quarterback replacement options for Michael Penix Jr. But if you love the constant wall-to-wall Falcons coverage, even in episodes that might anger you like this one, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up icon. It lets me know that, hey, you're interested in hearing about the Atlanta Falcons no matter what the state of the team every single day. I'm sure you're wondering, Moose, who are your replacement quarterbacks? Well, I'm going to give you 2 free agents, so NFL players currently. And then I'm going to give you 2 draft picks that the Atlanta Falcons could explore. Let's start with the replacements. Kyler Murray. Whoa, Kyler Murray. Now we can talk a little bit here. So Kyler is currently under contract with the Arizona Cardinals, but in case you've been living under a rock, Kyler Murray was soft benched for Jacoby Brissett. Everybody in their mother knows that the reason that the Arizona Cardinals put Kyler as QB2 is because Jacoby's playing better than him. There's no doubt about it. Now, you could say it's the injury. Oh, Kyler's injured. That's why he's not playing. Nobody believes that. Nobody believes that. Kyler is, by the way, a world-class talent. But he's got work ethic issues and size issues. You can't be small and lazy, Kyler. You can pick one, and you can't do anything about the size. So you might as well work your frickin' ass off. And it's almost like when Kyler got into the league, none of these things were an issue. He got the bag and then just took off. That was it. Sayonara, all she wrote. But when it comes to throwing the football, when it comes to his ability to be accurate and, his release, he throws one of the prettiest balls I think I've ever seen. Coming out of his hands, it just looks effortless. And it looks good, and he's mobile. He's willing to run and scramble outside of the quarter or outside of the pocket. And the numbers aren't awful. They're not great. They're not awful. So, look, Kyler Murray's one of those players that somebody's going to take a swing on. If it's not the Falcons, it's going to be another team. Now, I had originally thrown out there that the Carolina Panthers would be interested in a guy like Kyler Murray, considering they've already got like a 5'5" quarterback. But now with Bryce Young and the way that he's playing and the fact that the Carolina Panthers are almost in playoff contention, I don't know that they're ready to give up on Bryce yet. So that leaves Kyler Murray without any sort of team. And he's way too big of a name. He's way too big of a talent to be a backup. I think we know this. And he's still in his prime. So there's a lot of speculation right now that the Arizona Cardinals would seek a conditional 4th-round pick that could end up potentially becoming a 3rd-round pick. Well, here's the good news if you're the Falcons. You could turn that into a 2027 draft pick. You don't even have to worry about this year. So by the time that you can actually trade again, if you traded for Kyler Murray, it would be a 2027 draft pick, not a 2026. And here's another good news. His guaranteed salary in 2026 is only $36.8 million. So you'd pay him that. And by the way, you're paying Kirk a shit ton of money anyway. So why not go get a guy that's an unbelievable talent if you wanted to? Now, this is not my first choice. I'm not the biggest fan of guys that are my size playing quarterback. But it is an interesting option to at least mention. Would you trade for Kyler Murray? Type T for trade or type P for pass. If you're watching during our live show, get down in the live chat right now. Type your T's if you're trading. Type your P's if you are passing. Our second replacement quarterback, Georgia boy, Justin Fields. I'm going to be completely honest with you. The free agent quarterback market is not great. You're not going to get these huge name guys. The best one right now is Daniel Jones, and he's going to get locked up by Indianapolis. So Justin Fields, who just got benched by the New York Football Jets for Tyrod Taylor. Look, is Justin Fields a starting caliber, what do you want to call it, franchise quarterback? No, he's not. But could he be a nice bridge? Could he be a nice 2-year option, especially under the right coaching? I think so. Because he has the dual threat ability. He's massive, too. 6'3", 225 pounds. And believe it or not, if he wasn't playing for the Jets, I think you would have seen a lot more to what he did in Pittsburgh last year. But these numbers suck. But he does run the football a lot. He is really good in the RPO. And on his first reads, he's actually pretty good. Now, I don't think Justin Fields got any coaching help with the Jets, kind of like what Michael Penix Jr. was dealing with. Everybody could sit here and say that Michael Penix Jr. stinks, but you are a product of your coaching. And Justin Fields, the best he's ever played was with good coaching in Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh. Started with Chicago under Matt Eberflus, dumpster fire. Heads to Pittsburgh, sees a little bit of a resurgence, gets benched for Russell Wilson, hindsight being 50-50 or 20-20. That was a mistake. And then he goes to the Jets, and they're even more of a dumpster fire. So I think Justin Fields kind of gets that little bit of a bad rap. I'm not saying that he's a franchise guy. What I am saying is somebody's going to be willing to roll the dice on Justin Fields if they're an offensive head coach. He's had 3 straight defensive head coaches, producer Alper. That's nuts. So here's what I say. Let him play for his home team. He's from Georgia. Let him play for the Falcons. And here's the good news. If you wanted to keep Penix, Justin Fields could be the immediate starter. Let's say Penix wasn't ready until week 4. Justin Fields for 3 weeks? Who says no? NFL head or quarterback starting potential. He's done it this year. He's had some success being a dual threat quarterback. I don't think a single person would say that Justin Fields is a bad option, especially given he's probably going to cost a lot less after the Jets release him after this season, because they're going to. Before we continue on with our other 2 quarterback replacements, got to tell you about our friends over at Prize Picks. The weather has officially changed. It's fall down here in Texas, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So do yourself a favor and download the Prize Picks app today. Keep the season rolling by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Prize Picks is the only app, by the way, that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times on the same lineup. If you wanted to pick more on Bijan Robinson's rushing yards, receiving yards, and total touchdowns, you could. Now in the same lineup, only on Prize Picks. Takes 30 seconds to make a lineup. Super easy to do. Just pick your player, the more or the less on their stat projections, and watch your money multiply. Up to 2,000 times your cash this football season on Prize Picks. So do yourself a favor, download the app today, use code CLNS to get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It is good to be right. All right, so I've talked a lot about this guy on the channel so far, but I'm going to continue to talk about him. Jaden Maiava, I'm telling you, out of all the second and third round quarterbacks that you could possibly have, I think this guy's the best. As a Notre Dame fan, I've watched this guy play so many times because I absolutely hate USC. I have to watch them play Notre Dame every single year. And believe it or not, there's a lot of his game that I was like, whew, he's got some talent. Unbelievable quick release. It is so lightning fast. He excels in the no-huddle offense, which is exactly what Caleb Williams did really, really well at USC and what Lincoln Riley loves to do. And speaking of which, you might see Lincoln Riley be a head coach candidate in the NFL. I'm just saying. But also, just look at the measurables. He's 6'4", 230 pounds. That lightning quick, fast release with the quick game execution. The only thing about his game right now that necessarily isn't up to snuff is that when the pocket collapses, he does get a little bit sloppy with his footwork. But think about how many young quarterbacks don't stand firm in the pocket these days. He's mobile enough. I wouldn't say that he's a runner, but he's definitely able to get outside of the pocket with quickness. And that's what I want. I don't need someone that runs all the time and has 7 to 8 rushing attempts per game. But I need someone that can at least get their way outside of the pocket, which Michael Penix Jr. can't do. And also, Lincoln Riley loves Maiava. He has nothing but glowing things to say about him. Usually your head coach will just say something like, we believe highly in this kid to execute the game plan, blah, 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 blah. I still believe in my quarterback. But this is what Lincoln Riley had to say about Maiava. Every time the guys touch the field as a USC Trojan, we have a chance to win the game. He always gives us a chance to win. That's one of the things I really love about him as a player. And again, he is just continuing to improve as time goes on. That's not just like, I like my quarterback. That's glowing things to say about your quarterback. Maiava has the opportunity to be a really, really good NFL player. And I think at 6'4", 230 pounds with a lightning quick release, good pocket presence, and an ability to scramble outside of the pocket, I think he's going to be a really, really sought after player in rounds 2 and round 3. So why not take the chance on him? Diego Pavia is my last one, kid from Vandy. And notably so, I see a little bit of Johnny Manziel in Diego Pavia. Maybe not nearly as behaviorally challenged, but he's also got a lot of cockiness. Like, he's so mentally tough and so, like, he's got such testicular fortitude. It borderlines on almost kind of absurd. And I mean that in the best way. I'm not taking shots at this kid. Like, he is a player that I truly believe will win football games in the NFL at some point. He's got such an unbelievable skill set when it comes to his mental toughness and his mental game. On the field, though, it's actually pretty good. 70% completion percentage, 2,400 yards, 21 touchdowns, 613 rushing yards, and he's got 28 total touchdowns this year so far. Holy moly. Now, what's the one area of Pavia's game where I'm like, yikes, this is just not that great? He's only 6 foot. So even with the pocket limitations that he's got, it's going to be tough to see over the offensive line. But he's also a player that just kind of like bolts outside of the pocket immediately. He kind of plays like Kyler and kind of plays like a smaller quarterback. And he's only about an inch taller than Russell Wilson. But like I told you, the dude's got like unbelievable nuts, man. Giggity, pause. But I look at him and I say, whoever gets this kid might be dealing with a little bit of a headache as a backup quarterback, but if he finds his way onto the field, I'll bet you he ignites a fire in his teammates. And there's something to be said about that, especially as a younger quarterback. He might not have the size or the pocket awareness or even the rocket arm that a Jaden Maiava has, but what he does have is the fire. And I love the fire. Something that the Falcons' current team has none of. None. So if you had to pick a quarterback out of these 4, pick one. Justin Fields, type JF. Kyler, KM. Diego Pavia, DP. And Jaden Maiava, type JM. I would personally type my JMs for Jaden Maiava, but I could totally understand if you went Justin Fields or even Kyler Murray. That's going to do it for us on today's episode. So reminder to subscribe to the channel. Like today's video if you haven't done so already. Rise up and be cool. Pavia's mock projection is middle of the second. Middle second. I love Jaden Maiava. I think that kid's going to be a hell of a player. I really do. I think his floor, believe it or not, I think his floor is Marcus Mariota. I think that's his floor. I think his ceiling is... Hell, who has a really fast release? Can't be Burrow. I'm going to take a look real quick. Let me see what his comp is. One second, guys. I'm going to give you his comp real fast. Jaden Maiava. Doop-a-doop-doop-boop-boo-boo-doo. Who does he remind you of? Shout out 2021. No, that's not doing it for me. What's his comp? Here, let me do this real quick. Here we go. Let's do this. Oh my God, this is ridiculous. I don't know why this takes so long. There he is. Found him. let's see where they give him his. Okay, so he's got a lot of comparisons to a guy like body-wise, like Will Levis, but I think his skill is way higher than that. He's not as mechanical as Will Levis was. My biggest concern is Drake and London's. Drake London's contracts are going to be expiring soon. How are we going to pay them? Also, I like Flores for DC and McDaniel for OC. Well, I like Albrick still for my DC, but I'm okay with Flores as the head coach. I'd also be okay with McDaniel for OC. You're going to have to part ways with some players. I mean, that's just the way that it is. That's how it works. I could see them moving off Darnell Mooney. I could see them moving off of Kyle Pitts. They're definitely moving off Kirk. So once you get a couple of key pieces out of there, you want to keep Bijan. You want to keep Drake. All right, how many questions do we got? So many questions? Cool. So many questions. Player comparison, similarity level. Will Levis. He's dog water, dude. You know he is. He is terrible.
He's just played for the Titans.
No, he stinks.
He just played for the Titans.
All right, I'm ready when you are to do our mailbag. Mailbags. Yeah, let's do it. Welcome into our Falcons mailbag, Falcons fans, where I'm going to answer questions from real Falcons fans to a Falcons fan about the Atlanta Falcons. Now, I do understand that right now is probably not the greatest time to be a Falcons fan, considering there's a lot going on. Penix is out for the year. You don't have a first-round pick, and this coaching staff remains employed. So I'm going to ask you really quickly to answer a question for me, and I'm sure you're going to absolutely love this. Who is the franchise's biggest problem right now? Let me know in the comment section down below. Believe it or not, I'm going to say it's Raheem. That's how I'm going to answer this. But you let me know in the comment section down below. Let's start with our first super chat of the day, 2021 World Series champ, KJ. My biggest concern is Drake London's contracts are going to expire soon. How are we going to pay them? Also, I like Flores for DC, McDaniel for OC. I like Albrick as my DC. I would take Flores for head coach, and I would take Mike McDaniel for offensive coordinator. As far as paying Drake London, look, you're going to have to move off some players. You're going to have to move off Kirk. You might have to move off Darnell Mooney. You might have to move off of Kyle Pitts. This is just the reality of the situation. If you want to retain big-time players, you have to make salary cap space. And that means either not paying some players or restructuring other players' contracts. How often do you see a player want to restructure their deal, especially playing for a bad team? It doesn't happen that often. So I totally understand where you're coming from. It can absolutely happen. We can pay Drake London. But you're going to have to do some serious reconstructing of what your current roster looks like. Juan coming in with his question. Do you think there is any chance we win on Sunday? Of course. Of course there's a chance that we win. Of course there is. We're playing the Saints. They suck. But at this point, what does a win do? It makes us feel better, right? It's like getting drunk, especially if you're depressed. It's like having a drink and you're like, ooh, that feels good. But it's not going to solve the problem. It is quite literally just going to soothe the problem. And trust me, I want to see a win just as bad as you do. I'm tired of watching bad football. I want to see the Falcons win. So yes, of course, there's a chance. But what does it help? Thanks for your question, Juan. Anthony, how do you feel about tanking next year to make up for this year's draft? The season is already cooked next year. No, I'm not a huge fan of tanking. I think there's always a way out of the current problem that you are in. Good teams do it all the time. And Producer Alper, I believe I have a List 5 logo that highlights my plan of how I would rebuild the Falcons. I'll give it to you right now. Boom, here it is. Fire the coaching staff, release Kirk and clear up cap space, franchise tag Kyle Pitts, go heavy on George Pickens in free agency, and then draft Jaden Maiava. I mean, you can hit on a lot of these. You can do these immediately. You can do this at the beginning of this coming year. You can do this in free agency, and when the draft comes, you could target that kid. So there's a lot of things that you could look forward to as a Falcons fan if you're doing the smart thing. So that's how I would answer your question. I'm never a fan of tanking. I think you should always go out there and give 150% every single game. All right, let's go to Moff. Russell Wilson would actually not be bad. He can get the ball to Kyle and Drake for sure. I'm going to completely disagree with this. I think Russell Wilson sucks. I really do. I'm sorry. We can agree to disagree on this. I don't like Russell Wilson whatsoever. Have you seen what he looks like in New York? It's piss poor. He's not the same Russell Wilson. He's going to be a career backup for the remainder of his next 2 to 3 years, and then he's going to retire. It's just the way it is. Ark, what are your thoughts on adding Anthony Richardson? No. Dude couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. Ark, I love you, dude. You're one of my favorite fans here on this channel, and I love a lot of different fans. But I will not ever explore anything for Anthony Richardson. That is the biggest whiff of any draft pick I've seen since Josh Rosen. I mean, it is absolutely awful. And I love Josh Rosen coming out. Anthony Richardson, you love his traits, but my God, he can't hit anything. And that's with Shane Steichen clearly succeeding with Daniel Jones. So no, I don't want Anthony Richardson. Christian, do you see a world where we don't win another game this season? Yes, of course I see it. Is it pragmatic? No. I think they do win a couple more games. I think they win 2 more games. So I think they finish 5-12. And that's an awful season. But I think it's very unlikely that the Falcons lose out because it's the NFL any given Sunday. And they still have a lot of talent, right? So no, I don't think it happens. TJ Lee, what's your opinion on Drew Aller and Jesse Minter? I can tell you this, my producer hates Drew Aller. It's his least favorite player in college football. Drew Aller is one of those players, honestly, like all the traits are there. I don't know why he's not good. You know who he reminds me of, Alper? A worse version of Jay Cutler. That's exactly what he reminds me of. He's a worse version of Jay Cutler. I'm not a huge Drew Aller guy. Jesse Minter, again, whatever. At this point, like, I'm kind of numb to the quarterback talk. I just am. But I will say, what are we doing here? Talk about Haynes King, because that's the guy you do like. Oh, I do like Haynes King. But, yeah, no, Haynes King is one of those players that, all right, let's pause real quick. Okay. All right, that's fine. Let's, all right, well, we will, yeah, I got you. No, I see what you're doing there. That's, okay, that's on me. We just cut this out. All right, cool. All right, let's do this. Go back to the, no, just leave it here. I'll just say, here's a guy that I do like talking about. Okay. Here's a guy that I do like talking about, Haynes King. And I believe that Haynes King is one of those players that, like, Georgia fans love, right? Well, not literally the University of Georgia fans, but you get my point. Haynes King is a unique player. He kind of reminds me of Taysom Hill. I know that there's a lot of people that think he's a winner, and they're like, I want this kid immediately. But I do believe that he's one of the very definitions of a dual threat quarterback. He is the, like, very evenly distributed run-pass quarterback, and he's an unbelievable running quarterback. And he's got the clutch gene. He's had it for years at Georgia Tech. He's got a rocket arm. crazy launch angles. There's a lot of things you could really love about Haynes King. I just don't know how well he plays the quarterback position at the next level. And there's a reason that there's a ton of NFL scouts and executives that say he's not a draftable player. That doesn't mean that he can't succeed in the college game. You know who he also reminds me of a little bit? Riley Leonard, who got drafted by the Indianapolis Colts. But I don't see Haynes King as a starter in the NFL. Could he fit a Taysom Hill role? Absolutely. Could he be one of those players that goes out and on any given sub package comes in and is, RPO king? Sure, of course, but he's not projected to be drafted. He's projected to be undrafted. So he does fit that Taysom Hill type role, which could work for any sort of team. I'm not even saying it can't work for the Falcons, but it can't be your starter. I don't think. That's just where I'm at right now. But if you wanted Haynes King for the Falcons roster, do me a favor, type Y for yes or type N for no. Sure, if he's undrafted and he wants to play for the Atlanta Falcons, if he signs on and you activate him to the 53-man roster, sure, of course, why not? But I don't think I'd draft him. So you let me know in the comment section down below. Before we continue on with more questions from real Falcons fans, I've got to tell you about my friends over at Brunt. The sleek Marin design that you're about to see is one of my favorite boots that I've ever tried on. Insanely comfortable right out of the box with very little break-in period. Brunt, though, isn't just about work boots. They offer a full range of high-performance gear built for tough jobs. From heavy-duty work pants to weather-resistant jackets, Brunt designs durable, reliable workwear to keep you protected and productive in any condition. Choosing work boots used to mean sacrificing comfort or durability. If they felt good, they didn't last. And if they lasted, they completely wrecked your feet. So, with the temperatures dropping, make sure that you figure out your holiday plan. It's time to treat yourself or the hardworking man in your life to real comfort. Skip the throwaway gifts and get him something built to last. Brunt Workwear. Our listeners get $10 off their entire order with code CHAT at checkout. That's bruntworkwear.com and use code CHAT at checkout. And by the way, if you were like, hey, what do they look like and what am I going to do with them? Just like this. Booyah. Look at all those sleek Marin designs. It's super stylish, super comforting, and it looks absolutely fan-frickin-tastic. So, do yourself a favor or the hardworking man in your life. Make sure that you get Brunt today. $10 off at checkout right now with code CHAT. That's CHAT. Go to bruntworkwear.com and tell them Moose from Falcons Today sent you. Michael, who would you get as an OC and would you keep Ulbrich as DC? I would keep Ulbrich as DC. At offensive coordinator, I love Mike McDaniel. I think Mike McDaniel would be my answer. I think he would work very, very well, especially if you decided to keep Penix. He's got experience with a lefty quarterback. So I think that works. I absolutely do. But at the same time, Mike McDaniel has had the lefty quarterback, and clearly right now they're struggling. So I would keep Ulbrich as DC, and I would go get Mike McDaniel. Robert, Moose, what do you think about drafting the LSU quarterback? Garrett Nussmeier? Not really. I know there was a lot of hype around him earlier this year, but I don't see it. I see a guy with marginal arm talent. I see a guy with marginal arm strength. I see a guy with marginal escapability, decent accuracy. I mean, he just kind of fits that guaranteed backup quarterback role for me. I think he will be drafted, and I think he will get a chance to start. I just don't see the success in the NFL. I think he is a career backup. That's my honest opinion. Christian, do you agree that if we lose to the Aints on Sunday, that would be Blank's final straw and finally fire Raheem? I give it a 90% chance. I certainly hope so. I hope the Falcons win because I don't want them to ever lose. But if you lost to the Saints, who are 2-8 now? What are we doing? What are we doing? This team has more injuries than I can count. The team morale is on an all-time low. If you lose to your biggest rival, you're going to get booed. Like, you're already getting booed. So, yeah, I do think it could happen. Final question. The Great X. Penix now with 3 ACL injuries makes me feel like he is likely cooked. I'm not ready to say he's completely cooked yet. But I do also think that Terry Fontenot and this entire front staff, this front office staff, they're definitely talking about a replacement option. I would be. I'm not saying that I would be looking to draft a player, but the question now becomes, how durable is Michael Penix going to be? I mean, think about it next year, guys. Does he literally have to stay clean inside the pocket the entire year? Because what happens if he gets flushed out? What's going to happen? I mean, at this point, you got to start looking to see if that's the future of what your franchise quarterback needs to be. That's going to do it for us here on this episode. A reminder to subscribe to the channel, like today's video, and as always, be cool. Nadal and Cliff. Keep Ulbrich as DC, McDaniel, LaFleur as OC. LaFleur is not going to take an offensive coordinator job, I don't think. I think he's just going to be... Yeah, he'd be an automatic head coach everywhere. I don't think he's going to be an OC, but it's nice to dream, isn't it? Nadal coming in with the $20. I still think Penix is 100% our QB. I also think the second round is too early to pick up quarterback. Penix was going crazy against the Panthers, and if he does not get injured, we win that game. Okay, but I see what you're saying. That's a very valid point. However, what if Penix gets injured again? He's had this is like the 19th time that I'm saying this. 5 season-ending injuries in 8 years. It is absolutely accurate to say he's an injury-prone quarterback. He is. And I know there's people that are like, that could have happened to anybody. Yes, but it happens to a quarterback that has literal knee issues. He's had reconstructive surgery now on his legs multiple times. And newsflash, this is not to be me sounding like a dick here. This is a genuine statement. It doesn't get easier as you get older. It doesn't. Your body is going to fail you more often when you get older. So this is the time that Michael Penix Jr. is supposed to be at his healthiest. I'm just in a position right now where I think I would be considering it. That's all I'm saying. All right. That's going to do it for us on today's episode. We got to get to your show, Alper. All righty. That's going to do it. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. I appreciate it. Everybody that super chatted, everybody that got their questions in. We will be live on Sunday for Falcons versus Saints. So if you do want to show up, if you want to hang out and you just want to root on the Falcons together, Kirko Chains starting for the rest of the year. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, like today's stream. And as always, Falcons fans, rise up and be cool.